For Easter 2025, my wife and I decided to embark on a southeastern sojourn for a couple of weeks. We'd start with 5 days in Singapore before then heading to Bali for 9 days of R&R and not much else. Welcome to the Roaming Kangaroo in Singapore. The trip got off to a pretty relaxing start thanks to a comfortable Qantas flight from Perth up to Singapore, just over 5.5 hours on board, which had us arriving into Singapore Changi at around 6 p.m. local time. And even better to that, we had no time zone change heading up from Perth, which is even better. Now, please enjoy this time lapse of us landing into Changi. After breezing through customs at Singapore Changi and picking up our bags, it was then time to make our way to the MRT at Terminal 2 to head into Bugis, where we were staying. It's really easy to get around Singapore using the MRT, the train system and the buses as well. And you'd be glad to know everything's blissfully air conditioned, which was really nice. But we made our way to Bugis, where we were staying at the Mercure Singapore Bugis, and we arrived about 7:30 in the evening. And a bit later on, we took a few beers up to the rooftop here on the 14th floor with some nice views of downtown. Just a great way to kick off our Singapore trip. Welcome to Singapore. Day 2 began with a very expensive breakfast at a place called Glass House in Chichmez Hall. Highly recommend a visit here if you haven't been there already. Up next, we headed over to Little India, which was quite close to Bugis, around a 15 to 20 minute walk, just taking it pretty easily because it was very warm and humid. After a little bit of a look around, it was lunchtime. We'd worked up a bit of an appetite, so we headed over to the Little India Hawkers Market, which really was an amazing experience. I have to say though, we found all of the hawkers markets we went to a bit of a sensory overload in the beginning. You just don't know where to look, so it was really an eye-opener from that perspective. We just did a few laps and eventually settled on a cheese paratha for me, and Aid got a vegetable dosa, which is really nice. 7-Eleven drinks fridge. Fancy an espresso martini or a chili mango, no idea what that is. For $10. So up next was a trip to Gardens by the Bay to see everything that they had to offer there. And we started at the Cloud Forest, which was seriously impressive. Blissfully cool inside as well, thanks to the air conditioning throughout. And so many plants, some amazing waterfalls. It was genuinely an amazing visit there. It was quite busy there, but even though you had to line up to get up to the top level, it really was organised pretty well. The lines moved quite quickly, so you never had to wait for too long. One thing that Singapore does very well is organisation. Unlike a lot of their Southeastern Asian neighbours, they are very organised when it comes to things like this. So all in all, it was an amazing visit, lots of detail, loads of plants, as I say. We just enjoyed walking around. It was a really nice break from the very hot conditions outside. And this particular day, I think we did something like 24,000 steps. It was a very long day, but when you can come to attractions like Cloud Forest in air-conditioned comfort, it makes it a bit more easier to deal with. There's Marina Bay Sands there, which was always ever present in the city skyline, wherever you were. downtown, very easy to spot. Now, in order to gain access to Cloud Forest and Flower Dome, there are a number of ways you can do that. A lot of people were just turning up on the day, getting tickets on the door, which you can do. There were a lot of queues in that, however. We pre-booked online through booking.com. There are other operators such as Klook Travel, which are quite prevalent in Singapore. And we got the double pass for Cloud Forest and Flower Dome. So it was quite easy. We got the instant confirmation via the email. We just took that email to the front of the queue when we went to go in, and the attendant scanned our barcodes and we went straight through, so it's pretty straightforward. After the Cloud Forest, it was simply out via the gift shop, up a set of escalators and entering the Flower Dome. Tag a mate who's got one of those. All the gardens were grouped into individual areas, so you just saw the Australian garden, which we're still in now. They also had a South African garden and a South American garden, to name but a few. The Boab tree.
Leave the Australia bit, we live there.
Yeah. And here we have the aforementioned South African garden. All in all, it was just amazing. Further on, we had a California section as well, which was quite a lot smaller than these other gardens, but all added to the overall picture and quality of this fantastic structure and attraction. We really were impressed with the overall setup and the detail. Just such an amazing space. And this was part of the recently opened Tulip Mania display, which I believe it opened just the day before we were there. So it's open through the end of May 2025. It's well worth a look. The Trojan horse was particularly impressive. Just metres away from Satay by the Bay, you got turtles. Everyone's here for the satay. So after the Cloud Forest and Flower Dome adventure, it was time to make our way over to the Supertree Grove for the Garden Rhapsody light show. This really was spectacular, as you're about to see a few snippets of the display, and it's completely free, so why wouldn't you go and have a look? We really enjoyed it though. It was just such an impressive array of light and sound. So sit back, relax and enjoy a few of the best bits from the show.
Join us as we embark on an adventure to magical lands amongst the super trees. Tonight we present The Enchanted Woods. Pick a spot, grab your cameras and enjoy the show.
So what did you think of that? It was pretty impressive, if I'm not mistaken. We were then greeted by this amazing walk on the way out. Just magical. So day 3 had us heading over to Kampong Glam, which is again very close to the Bugis area. We actually caught a few buses to get there, but it is very easy to walk. We were just a little bit warm and sweaty, so we decided to take a little bit easy and travel in some air-conditioned comfort. But this was really impressive. Lots of vibrant colours and amazing artwork. It was just a joy to go there and just walk around and take it all in. From there we headed down to Muscat Street, which was probably my favourite part of Kampong Glam. These amazing wall murals, art, just phenomenal. So much attention to detail and amazing colours once again. They really were a sight to behold. And as you can see, a lot of Instagram photo shoots taking place. We really could have spent a lot of time just here on Muscat Street alone, just taking in all of the art and the story that they were telling. Just amazing. And now please enjoy a little bit of the walking and filming that I was doing leading up to the main cafe and restaurant street in Kampong Glam. So as we made our way out of Kampong Glam, we were heading over towards Chinatown, which was our next stop. We stumbled on this impressive facility, the Chinatown complex. We were heading over to Maxwell Food Court, and we had a little bit of a walk around, and we came across the Chinatown complex first. A wide range of shops, fresh fruit, vegetables and produce down below, meat. And on the level that we were on here, there was an impressive array of food stalls and hawkers markets, which you will see in just a minute. After spotting some of the world-famous durian, which is well known for its very strong smell, we just wandered around Chinatown a little bit longer and then eventually made our way over to the Maxwell Food Court. This was just a nice little stroll through the outside areas of Chinatown. Lots of restaurants here, as you can see, and a few shops, general markets, that kind of thing. But overall, just a very pleasant place to be. Here we are at the Maxwell Food Centre, definitely worth a look. On reflection though, I didn't like it too much compared to some of the other places we subsequently visited, mainly Lau Pa Sat, which we'll get to later, but this was very hot. There weren't many tables and chairs available to sit on, and a lot of the stores weren't open. Not sure whether that was anything to do with Easter, but it certainly detracted from things overall here. Once again, some more of the local birds frequenting the food market. Seen quite a few of these in Singapore during our time here. Welcome to the Raffles Hotel Singapore. Just throw your peanut shells on the floor when you're done. Sling time. So after the Raffles, we went back to Chijmes Hall for a couple of drinks and some dinner. But it was chucking it down, so after a few beers, we made it to Duomo Ristorante. Beautiful Italian food with lovely service. Welcome to Fort Canning. Ta-da! Seen a few of these roosters and chickens around the areas. I don't know if they belong to anyone. Ooh. We found Waterhall Centre by mistake, really. We're doing laundry across the road from the Mercure Bugus and stumbled across it in the same complex. No tourists aside from us were there, which was really good. And then from Waterhall Centre we made our way via another bus down to Boat Quay, which is really easy to get to from Bugus. And then we just had a beer while we made our way down towards Marina Bay for the Bumboat tour. So here's the Marina Bay shops, where you can take a gondola ride in the shopping centre. Name me another shopping centre in the world where you can do that. I don't think there are any. So as you can see, we're heading down towards the Singapore River to start the Bumboat River Tour. Now, just keep an eye on the weather here because at the moment it's looking pretty good, but spoiler alert, it may not stay that way for too much longer. Stay tuned.
And an exhibition gallery. The commission concerns that the enthusiasm for the art center would fade, but these
They've got a Hooters here. Get your tits out. When you're travelling, if you can go and see a city via a river cruise or some sort of boat cruise, do it because it's easily the best way to see a city, especially when it's so warm and humid like it was in Singapore. You're able to just take a load off for, in this case, 40 minutes and just enjoy the sights, get your bearings and see a bit more. It's really good.
enterprising traders and businessmen on the just opposite the spot where Sir Sam Raffles, founder of modern Singapore, first landed, this area has remained vital throughout Singapore's history. In 1996, refurbishment works were commenced, with the current Hilton Hotel opening in December 2000. In its early years, it's one of 7 approved by the Singapore Tourism Board. The second, the Merlion Cup, is a smaller version located just behind it. The fish body symbolizes our history as a fishing village, but where does the line come from? For that, we have to go back to the 13th century, when the island and that Samula Utama saw a tiger, or perhaps an Asian golden cat, a medium-sized wild
what did I say earlier about the weather? It's starting to turn big time. It was at this point, approaching the end of the river tour, where we thought, no, we might just sneak it back in time before the heavens open, but then a few spits of rain decided to drop on us. One thing I will say though is that the weather did not deter from the beauty of the city, just visually stunning. What a view! So many ships out there. This could have been one of those classic kind of travel hard luck stories, you know, the weather blew in, we decided to go up to the top of Marina Bay Sands anyway. It cleared eventually, we had to have 2 Singapore slings up there at C'est La Vie. But I guess at the end of the day we've got a story to tell and it worked out well in the end. Now this place, Lau Pa Sat, for me was the food highlight of the entire trip to Singapore. Have you spotted a theme yet? Because the multiple times we went to Lau Pa Sat, I was pretty much eating Indian food. It was that good. And those naans were absolutely huge. Just phenomenal. Out the back of the market as well, Satay Street was doing a roaring trade. So if you're into your satay, check this out. Then after absolutely stuffing ourselves at Lau Pa Sat, we headed back to Marina Bay Sands for the Spectra Light Water and Sound Show. I've made a separate video for this. You'll see it in the playlist Travel and Culture. If you want to check that out, head there. It is the full show, around 15-16 minutes long, but it was well worth the visit back. In the meantime though, please enjoy a few still images from my iPhone 16e of the evening sky as we were waiting for the show to start. Here at the Marina Barrage over the Singapore River, and that's the view you get by coming out here. You can see absolutely everything. Not bad at all. So these clips were taken on the Singapore cycle tour that we did. Again, a separate video that I made for that in the cycling playlist if you want to check that out. Just like me eating Indian food at the hawkers markets, the afternoon Singapore shower, which was a couple of certainties during our trip in Singapore, we made it in for a quick dip after our cycle at least. Brave in the weather. So those were the last drinks that we had in Singapore at the Far East Village there, which is just on the other side of Chinatown. The rain really set in at that point, so we just took cover and waited for things to kind of blow over a little bit, and then we headed on our way. So that was Singapore. It was an amazing visit for us. We had such a great time, really enjoyed everything that Singapore had to offer, and we're really surprised by how much of a wide range of things to do there were to suit all budgets, including free activities. So we found that really surprising. but also welcoming. So that's really good to know, because we were a little bit apprehensive before going as to how much things were going to cost and whether we'd budgeted enough money and that kind of thing. So that was particularly nice to find out. So hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and if you've made it this far, then I assume that you have enjoyed it. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.